Welcome to Fanalysis, where we take the analytics from fantasy football combined with the metrics of sports betting to find you the best plays of the week. So let's find that sharp angle now with the sports investment analyst from SportsGrid, Jared Smith, joining us once again. Jared, we want to start things off with the one of the top plays of Week 10, and it's a division rivalry. The Saints are huge favorites against the Niners. 9.5 points. This line made a major move this week.
Yeah, and it's been moving in this direction all season, Steve. This is one of the biggest moves I've ever seen from a preseason line up until now. Now, obviously, before the season started, San Francisco had all of their players intact. Now they have 14 players on injured reserve. It's just continued to go in the other direction for San Francisco all season long. And on the flip side for New Orleans, they played really well early in the season, but I thought last week against Tampa Bay, you really saw that defense come to the forefront. And New Orleans has one of these monikers that not a lot of teams have, Steve. They are top 10 in both offense and defensive efficiency. The Rams are the only other team that are as balanced as the Saints. And I thought what New Orleans did so well on Sunday against the Bucs is they finally had their secondary intact. Malcolm Jenkins runs it all from the safety position. We all know about Janoris Jenkins here in New York. He's doing a great job, and Marcus Lattimore's been sensational. They had all of their secondary playing on the same page as one fist. And they really took those, those really short rhythm routes that Tom Brady likes to run with this Bucs offense, and they threw it through a wrench. So I thought the New Orleans defense really stepped up against that really good Bucs offense last week. And, of course, we know what the Saints offense can do every week with Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees pulling the strings. So now the defense is on par with the offense. It makes the Saints a very dangerous team. But I will say this, when you have a line that flips this much, it's very hard to find value on New Orleans. I'm giving New Orleans kind of the tip of the cap out of respect. But this game might be a little bit closer than some people think, because you're never as good as you look in your best week, and the Saints did look pretty good.
Well, you're right, and the Saints did improve, and clearly we know what that offense runs through Alvin Kamara. But Michael Thomas came back, didn't quite look 100%, but they are getting healthier on the offensive side of the ball as well, which is the exact opposite of what you're seeing with the 49ers, who have 14 guys that are down.
Yeah.
And that really has to play a role as you're evaluating this game, because the stats don't measure up to what the Niners are actually doing on the field right now.
It's true. And when I looked at the Niners, analytics, 5th in net yards per play, that's pretty good. But then you have to look a layer beneath, and you have to say a lot of those players that have factored into those statistics throughout the course of a 9-week season so far heading into Week 10 aren't playing. So it's kind of misleading. It's kind of fool's gold. 49ers, no pun intended, I guess. But you just have to look a little bit deeper with San Francisco. Now, again, the value is on the Niners here because everyone's on New Orleans. After that great performance, this line has moved so much in their direction. You give them the benefit of the doubt because they are hands down the better team on paper. But it's a lot of points to swallow. I wouldn't be surprised if San Fran keeps this close. But because I don't think the Niners can win the game, I can't back the dog. That's always rule number one when trying to back an underdog. I don't think San Francisco can go into New Orleans and win this game, so I got to put my money on the Saints.
49ers mining for fool's gold. We can always count on a good dad joke in this show every now and again. Absolutely. They're usually coming from me, though. All right.
I got a few of them in my back pocket.
Okay, fair enough. All right, another top play. The Cardinals are giving to the Bills. How has this line moved in this direction after the Bills' impressive win over the Seahawks?
Yeah, this is the funky line of the week. You would think after Arizona, I wouldn't say struggled, but certainly met their match on Sunday against the Dolphins. Great performance by Tua. We'll get to him in a minute. But you would think after that loss, where the Cardinals defense kind of got exposed a little bit, now they're facing Josh Allen and this Bills offense that dropped 44 on Seattle on Sunday, made the Seahawks look very puny. You would think that Buffalo would be getting the benefit of the doubt and would have the minus sign in front of their number. But no, it's actually Arizona that's the favorite here. And I think that's very telling on where the books think this game is. Buffalo's defense has been the biggest problem to me this season. Now, their numbers did improve from last week. Despite giving up 34 points, their numbers actually went up in efficiency. But big picture, I think Buffalo's defense is a problem. Now, Tre'Davious White practiced this week. They need him to play. If he plays, that changes my tenor a little bit with Buffalo. But the analytics still point me in Arizona's direction. Third best red zone scoring defense in the NFL. That means they're going to make Josh Allen's life very difficult when he gets close to the end zone. And I also think overall, the offense has been really efficient. Arizona 4th in net yards per play, 6th in net points per play. So they're not only moving it, they're stopping teams from moving it on them, and they're also scoring it at a very high level. So Arizona does everything great across the board. That's why they're the favorite in this game, and that's why they're getting my respect.
Well, okay, now the flip side of that, there are a lot of coaches that say that Sean McDermott pretty much created the blueprint to how to stop these running quarterbacks. He did that last year with Lamar Jackson, did it last week against Russell Wilson. Does that play a role as you get ready to watch him try to slow down Kyle Murray?
I don't think it's going to be possible to slow down Kyler Murray. The Dolphins have such a good attacking, blitzing, aggressive defense, Steve, and they still couldn't do anything against them. You almost have to just tip your cap at some point and say, Kyler's going to get his. We need to make sure that some of these other guys, especially Hopkins and Kenyon Drake, don't continue to hurt. Well, actually, Drake's not playing, so it'll be Edmonds. The running back position doesn't continue to hurt them. You almost have to give Murray the opportunity to beat you with his legs, make sure the other guys don't beat you. And it's really hard to do because Murray, I mean, the NFL's in really good hands with these quarterbacks for a number of years. You saw it on Sunday with Tua and Kyler going, blow for blow in that fourth quarter. And Kyler is just one of those dynamic players that is going to continue to churn up yards and points every week. You have to make sure you're buttoned up in every other area, and you have to make sure that you move the football effectively. Sean McDermott's going to have some tough sledding on his hands trying to defend Kyler Murray. I'm sure they watched that Miami tape, but hey, they scored 30 plus on the Dolphins too. I'm sure they can get there against Buffalo.
What's the over/under on this game? 56.5.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
When they go
it's
high,
going to be a high-scoring game.
You usually want to go higher, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring game.
The Dolphins, 2.5-point favorites against the Chargers in this game in South Florida. The Dolphins haven't lost since week 4, and that's with the quarterback change. What do you make of this?
I tell you what, and this might be a hot take, but I think the Dolphins might be the best team in the AFC East.
Whoa.
Top to bottom. Yeah, and I know Buffalo certainly deserves it. New England has fallen off the mantle. The Jets, they're on the bye week, so we'll just leave them be for the week. But I think when you look at big picture, again, the Dolphins do everything well, Steve. They play defense at a very high level. They blitz. They get after the quarterback. They get off the field on third downs. They hold teams to, they're able to cover spreads in high regard. I mean, they are covering the number at over double digits this year. So not just winning games by double digits, covering the spread by an average margin of over 11 points per game this season. That is a fascinating stat. Usually by week 10, the books will catch up to you. The books have not caught up yet to this Dolphins team, so we're going to continue to ride them. 6-2 against the spread. And again, we talked about how well they are covered. They are exceeding Vegas's expectations every week, not just exceeding our expectations when we handicap them. And how about Tua? I mean, talk about evolution from week 1 to week 2 in his NFL career. Wasn't asked to do much against the Rams, only threw 22 passes. Last week, asked to do a lot against Arizona, and he excelled. The downfield passing game, which is so important, Steve, 8 of 11 on throws 10 or more yards down the field. That is efficiency. And if Tua can continue to do that, coming at you with this weird, funky left-handed throwing motion with a very unique offense that Chan Gailey's drawing up, I think the sky's the limit for this Dolphins team. And they're facing a really good offense on Sunday, Justin Herbert, who's done a great job in his own right. But, man, this Dolphins team does everything top to bottom well.
And you just mentioned, I mean, that rookie Herbert on the other side, the Bolts, I'm telling you, that kid is showing that he is a star in the making. But here's the thing. The Chargers. I still call them San Diego. They
want to go back to San Diego.
At this point, they might. I mean, they continue to lose close games. They can't close out games. When a team is continually snake bitten, do you want to stay away from that team, or are you expecting a regression to the mean for that squad? Like at some point, the light's going to turn on and they're going to get it.
You would think that. I always use this. We have a gambler we bring on the show every week from Vegas, and he always gives us this very rudimentary example, which helps me with that recency bias. He says, if you flip a coin, if it's tails 100 times in a row, and all of a sudden the person setting the odds says, wow, it's been tails so many times, I'm going to give you better odds on tails because there's no way it's going to be tails again. Well, wait a minute. It's a coin flip. It doesn't matter what the odds are telling you. You flip the coin, it's got a 50-50 chance of being heads or tails, regardless of how many previous times it's been tails. So the recency bias does say, yes, Steve, eventually the Chargers are going to get over the top and win one of these games. But at the end of the day, you flip the coin 100 times, it has the same amount of,
chances
of being heads and tails.
You measure them against what they're doing right now. It's not a bit against what's happened to them in the past, right?
It's hard to do. It's probably the hardest thing of any gambler to do, is to look at a game without total bias, to take it in and to put it in a vacuum, and to not let anything that has happened in the weeks past, in the years past, affect that particular outcome. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how many times the coin has flipped tails in the last 100 attempts, the next time you flip the coin, it's got a 50-50 chance of being heads or tails. So if the odds point you in a direction that say, hey, the odds are baked into this recency bias, the Chargers are getting decimated against the spread, the odds are tilting in their favor, meaning there's value to bet them, well, then there's value to bet them. You have to look at it outside of all of those. Now, it's hard to do, especially if you're a Chargers fan, all of the failures they've had in the fourth quarter. The last one on Sunday was brutal. The guy had it in his hands.
Oh, my gosh. And listen,
Herbert put that throw right on the money.
Beautiful pass. But I'm telling you, if you've got a guy that's flipped that coin 100 times and it's heads the entire time, you're going to have to check the weight on that coin.
Yeah,
Jared,
probably.
Thank you so much for all of your insight. That's a look at his top plays of the week. Make sure you check out where he lands on some future bets worth a peek. For Jared Smith, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.